Number 8. Whether it's beards, mustaches, goatees, or the groovy beloved sideburns, people have been rocking facial hair for thousands of years. Sometimes there's the occasional problem that can come from it, like getting food stuck in your stash or it's starting to get itchy. But it's usually never anything too serious. Sadly though, one man had his own beard turn against him. Hans Steininger was a pretty big deal during his time. In the 16th century, he was the mayor of his town, Braunau am Inn, located near Austria and Germany. Although the kind of man he was or how he served as a public leader has been forgotten, he still became a bit of a legend to the locals after his death. Hans was remembered for having a beard nearly 5 feet, 1.5 meters long. That's longer than some people are tall. Unfortunately, despite being such an impressive man, his death was anything but. On September 28, 1567, a fire broke out in the town, sending everyone into chaos. Usually worn tied up and out of the way, Hans's beard was loose, left flowing in the wind as he ran in fear. But while he was trying to escape, he accidentally stepped on the beard, causing him to trip and fall down his stairs. In this horrible turn of events, he managed to break his neck during the fall. But here's an interesting fact. The town of Braunau am Inn kept the mayor's beard. It's been preserved and on display for nearly 450 years since that fateful day. It's quite the artifact. So if you ever find yourself between Austria and Germany and you happen to visit this town, go see one of the most impressive beards in history. Number 7. Inventive death. The Eiffel Tower has been a monumental and distinguishing landmark of Paris for hundreds of years. But despite being one of the most popular tourist destinations in the City of Love, did you know over 300 people have died at the tower? This includes the self-proclaimed inventor Franz Reichelt. The tragic event was actually caught on film in 1912 in a video that is now stored in the British Path Archive. It all started when Franz became inspired by parachutes. As the owner of a dressmaking shop in the city, he soon took his inspiration and turned it into an obsession. He wanted to create an easy wearable option for the life-saving parachute. But sadly, this would turn out to be his final ambition. Since one had been accomplished before in history as far back as Leonardo da Vinci's time, Franz thought his objective would be doable. He sought to improve the historic design through his own ideas, one of which where he changed the original canopy-type design and instead opted for a piece of fabric that was intended to catch wind similar to a sail in order to ease into a landing. In his early days of designing the chute, his creations weighed an astounding 154 pounds, 70 kilograms, which was anything but practical for the average wearer. But later on, through small improvements, he got the weight down to 55 pounds, 25 kilograms, an astounding difference. In the testing stages, Franz used multiple dummies, but they all failed, and eventually, he tested it himself and got a broken leg in return. Even with these failed test runs, though, he refused to change his design. Franz full-heartedly believed that the only problem was the height at which he was testing, so he tried something a little higher, the Eiffel Tower. At first, his requests to attempt the jump were adamantly denied until he said it would only be a dummy. But that was a lie. Despite the pleas from his close friends to not jump, Franz believed in his invention. While climbing the stairs to the top, he told the crowd that had gathered below, "See you soon!" And at the top of the tower, he waited for almost a minute before finally jumping. Sadly, his parachute never fully opened, and Franz hit the ground at full force, killing him instantly. If there's anything to learn here, it'd be to triple-check inventions and perhaps do a few more test runs before putting an actual person at risk. Number 6. Bank robbing. A lot of times, bank robbing in television and movies is portrayed as a high-risk and well-thought-out heist. But sometimes, things aren't always what they look like on TV. Most of the time, robbing a bank doesn't go well, and the thieves end up behind bars. But for Brian Douglas Wells, things turned out even worse. On an August afternoon in 2003, the middle-aged pizza delivery driver walked into a Pennsylvania bank with a frightening note. It told the teller to get a bag ready as quickly as possible with $250,000 in cash. To make matters worse, Brian pointed to a device on his neck with a 15-minute timer. It was a bomb. Frightened, the teller did everything she could but was unable to open the bank's vault. All she could gather was $8,702. Brian took the bag and the teller called authorities after he left. They found him 15 minutes later around the corner. He pleaded with the cops, saying that some strange men had put the device around him, forcing him to go inside the bank. He kept saying it was going to blow, but they didn't buy it. A bomb squad did appear at the scene, but they weren't able to stop the explosion. Brian died as the blast went off, ripping a hole in his chest. Despite Brian saying he was coerced into robbing the bank, some believe that he was in on the crime the entire time, but the plan just backfired. Others say his accomplices just let the bomb go off to take care of a loose end. Eventually, another arrest was made when a drug dealer, Kenneth Barnes, admitted to helping in the robbery. Even with this conviction, not everyone is convinced the truth was revealed. But if it turns out Brian was part of the mastermind plan, it's a pretty dumb way to die. So what do you think? Did Brian have any part in the robbery plan? Tell us your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 5. Lava lamp. Remember being a kid and going to the arcade? You'd try your absolute hardest to earn as many tickets as possible to get the coolest prizes. And almost always one of those prizes was a lava lamp. As a kid, it seemed like the coolest thing imaginable and everyone wanted one. Well, as an adult, you're free to just buy one whenever you want, and that's exactly what a man from Washington did. You'd think as a 24-year-old grown-up, Philip Quinn would have had some common sense, right? Well, wrong. In fact, he for some reason thought it was a good idea to put his lava lamp on the stove while it was on. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe the stuff inside the lamp started to boil, or it just melted. Nope. At the extreme temperature it reached, the glass got so hot that the pressure built up, causing the whole thing to explode. Quinn was standing close by and a sharp piece of glass blew into his heart during the blast. You'd never think something like this could happen, but it did. His parents found his body later on. Philip died all alone in his trailer home, and the only reason they came to check on him was because his girlfriend called them worried after not hearing from him for a while. After his body was examined, they determined that the shard didn't kill Philip instantly. He was able to make his way into his room before dying of blood loss. Surprisingly, he wasn't intoxicated or under the influence of any drug. He just wanted to see what would happen to the lava lamp. So to everyone watching, learn from Philip's mistake, and next time you want to try something questionable, just Google it first. Number 4. German Shepherd. Almost everyone loves dogs. They're cute, cuddly, and loyal and make the perfect pets. But some people like these animals way too much. Some poor dogs are abused by people seeking out ways to satisfy their own sick form of self-pleasure. One of these abusers was a woman from Ireland that likely got karmic justice for her absurd actions. A man named Sean McDonnell met the unnamed woman online after she'd reached out to him to have sexual intercourse with his dog. She traveled all the way from her home to Britain in order to do the deed and have Sean film the entire encounter to post on some pretty disturbing pornographic websites. But something went wrong after she was done. Apparently, the 43-year-old lady had an allergic reaction to something in the dog's sperm. When her death went public and Sean's participation in the ordeal came to light, he lost his day job and his family broke off all contact. And let's be honest, this is a terrible thing to do to an animal. He was sent to court for the whole ordeal, and the judge in charge of his case was so shocked by his actions that he put Sean on a public sex offenders list and made him go to court-ordered counseling sessions. Number 3. Cockroach. Food competitions and cooking shows are insanely popular. Whether you're just watching the event or participating yourself, they're usually safe environments to just relax and have a little fun. Challenges can include all kinds of food, from hot dogs to pastries to insanely spicy foods and more. One of these contests took place in Deerfield Beach, Florida. The competition was being held at a local drugstore, and there were about 30 contestants in the running. So what were they eating? Well, they were competing to win a python, and to do so, they had to eat the most live cockroaches out of everyone else. One man named Edward Archbold was set on winning the snake for one of his friends, so he took on the challenge, thinking it would be harmless fun. But after shoving dozens and dozens of crawling insects into his mouth, Edward began to choke. Eventually, he died due to asphyxiation and the amount of cockroaches in his body. The insect parts had blocked the oxygen from being able to enter his lungs. The owner of the pet shop and everyone who witnessed Edward's death were shocked and horrified. Even though he died, Edward did sign a disclaimer before participating in the competition, so no blame fell on the shop. It is definitely one of the dumbest yet tragic ways to die that we've ever heard of. Number 2. Crashing cows. Imagine going to sleep just like any other night, only this time you never wake up. For many, that sounds like the ideal and most peaceful way to die. But what if it wasn't so peaceful? A man named João Maria de Souza was sleeping one night at his home in Brazil when out of nowhere a cow fell through his bedroom roof and crushed him. He didn't die instantly, but he did eventually bleed out due to the incident. The 3,000-pound, 1,360-kilogram cow fell from 8 feet, 2.4 meters high onto João. Apparently, the animal had recently escaped from a farm that was close by. João's house was right against a hill, so the cow must have gotten onto his roof somehow. Zhao's wife quickly took him to the hospital to try and fix him up, but he bled out from the cow-related injuries. His family was devastated. Zhao was a loving husband, brother, and son, and no one could have predicted something like this. The owner of the cow is yet to be discovered, but it's very possible that, if caught, he could go to court because of the death his cow caused. Just always remember to tell the people in your life you love them, because before you know it, they might be hit by a cow falling from the sky. And it does make you wonder, what happened to the cow after this incident? Number 1. Gun safety. There are many gun owners in the United States of America, and most of them that acquire weapons legally are required to attend mandatory safety classes in order to get a permit to allow them to have a gun in the first place. An older man named Glenn Seymour went through all of these steps as a reasonable gun owner should, but while attending one of the classes, something happened. He got a little cocky and decided to try out a technique that he hadn't practiced before, and it went very, very wrong. The move he attempted was a skill that's only taught in high-level courses, but Glenn was just at an average concealed carry class in Missouri. He should not have been testing out his ability here, but it's too late now. During the instruction, Glenn accidentally shot himself in the chest and he died almost instantly. Witnesses and his instructor at the time said it was an awful accident that should never have happened. The gun Glenn was using was a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, and he'd taken the safety off. One of the first things they teach you when handling a weapon like this is to never put your finger on the trigger unless you intend to fire. But sadly, it seems that Glenn didn't remember this rule. That's everything for today. Thanks for watching. Which of these deaths shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video so you can catch up with all our latest content. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.